So the point you make is that it wasn't an Igbo coup.
I'm clear my mind in that.
We are discussing history. And another book I'm recommending to you to have a better understanding of the discourse and form your own opinion is this book, Ironsi, Nigeria, the Army, Power and Politics, written by Chuks Iluebunam. This book is a classical work on the story we are discussing. I did not bring the book Nzogu, written by Obasanjo. That is another classic you should read. So you can get this book on udarabooks.com. And you can also buy it on WhatsApp. The numbers are pinned to this broadcast. We are looking at history, politics, and power. I have recommended Why We Struck by Adewale Ademoyiga. Now I am recommending Ironsi, Nigeria, the Army, Power, and Politics. It's about learning and unlearning. We are talking about Awolowo in the Nigerian Civil War. And when you talk about the war, one name that must come up is Ojukwu. So look at this book, Emeka, written by Frederick Forsyth. Emeka is a classical work if you want to know more about Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. You can get this book on udarabooks.com. I am discussing with Dr. Yemi Farounbi, looking at the background to the war, and the focus is on Obafemi Awolowo. We have talked about the August 11th, 1966 meeting of Yoruba leaders of thought, convened by the governor of the Western region, Colonel Adeyinka Adebayo. Dr. Farounbi says it was a meeting to rally the Yoruba nation to adopt a common position in the planned national constitutional discourse. But the meeting turned out to be an appeal for Awolowo to lead the Yoruba nation. It turned out to be a meeting where those that offended Awolowo came to ask for forgiveness. There was another meeting of Yoruba leaders of thought in Ibadan on the 1st of May, 1967. In that meeting, Obafemi Awolowo was elected by acclamation as the leader of the Yoruba people.
Yes, after Colonel Robert Adeyinka Adebayo came to the meeting to appeal to him, he made a speech, passionate speech. If your colleagues say you should lead them, accept to lead them. Of course, Adebayo himself didn't belong to the Awolowo school. It was Paju who shared Awolowo's political philosophy. So he was one of those who needed accommodation by Awolowo. And of course, he was, he had this problem also with the farmers.
Agbekoya.
And it only required the intervention of Awolowo to stop it. In any case, and Awolowo said clearly, I will accept, but that as soon as political parties are allowed to emerge, I will stop being the leader of the Yorubas, because I don't expect all the Yorubas to be in my political party. And that was why in the latter days in his life, you never really made reference to him as leader of the Yorubas. You talked more about his president of UPN, leader of the UPN. From 1977 or 78, he really didn't see himself again as the leader of the Yorubas.
But today, has any man in the history of Yoruba nation assumed the status of Obafemi Awolowo?
The truth is that before him, Yorubas had no leader. And after him, we've not had one like that. I think he's the kind of person that you see one of them in 1 century or so. As a matter of fact, what had given Yoruba solidarity, the solidity they have today, is the quality of mind and nature of Awolowo. Nobody ever governed the Yoruba together as one. Nobody. Not even in the days of Oyo Empire. All the Yorubas were never governed as one political unit.
Awolowo was able to bring the nation together.
And he did so well. So everybody became so proud to identify with him.
On the 1st of May 1967, Awolowo delivered a speech at that meeting. And that speech today is referred to as the 4 imperatives by some.
Yeah.
He makes the point that only a peaceful solution must be found to arrest the worsening stalemate in Nigeria at that time. Another imperative is that the eastern region must be encouraged to remain part
of Nigeria. Yeah.
And the third imperative is that if the eastern region is allowed by acts of omission or commission to secede from or opt out of Nigeria, then the western region and Lagos must also stay out of the federation. He made that point.
Yeah.
Why did he make that statement? What does that statement mean?
Very clear. You cannot have a Nigeria that is only the north and the west. That's the point he's making. If you're going to have a Nigeria, it's either to be of all of us or no Nigeria. And of course, he had the problem on hand, the northern troops. Either in that speech or in a subsequent speech, he said the northern troops must be withdrawn so that the Westerners can have also the freedom to take their own decision. And it was clear to him, if you force the East out, or you allow them to go, then the West must be allowed to go or must be deemed as having been forced out. That you're not going to have a situation, you will have a dominant North. And he has just come from prison, having tasted out of the, the bitter pill that northern leadership or oligarchy can inflict. We're not going to allow that to continue.
He makes the statement, any war by the North against the East on any account whatsoever would be an unholy crusade for which it won't be unjustifiable to shed a pint of blood. Awolowo had also said that any war against the East would be illegitimate unless it had the backing of the West and the Midwest.
So what he's saying is that if the North, as northern region, decided to wage a war on eastern Nigeria, they are on their own. But of course, they fought a war ostensibly by Nigeria against Biafra. So even though the commanders at that time that started the war, that was Mohammed Shua, 1st Division, that entered via Enugu. The 2nd Division was General Murtala Muhammad. They didn't even have a 3rd Division until we had problem in the Midwest. So they themselves didn't trust any other person, but was then ostensibly in the name of Nigeria. It was Federal Republic of Nigeria now fighting a war against Biafra. Whereas if they had chosen to fight as northern Nigeria, I'm sure even the Midwest that passionately believed in Nigeria would have folded their hands.